Khalid bin Walid is considered to be the greatest general in the world. Napoleon, Alexander the Great, and Julius Caesar have definitely lost some battle at some point in their life. But Khalid bin Walid is the greatest general in the world who has not lost any war in his entire life. Defeated, and this is not only believed by Muslims, but the whole world believes that Khalid bin Walid's strategy and planning during the war are still taught in universities like Oxford and Harvard. But what is so special about Khalid bin Walid's wars that today, 1,400 years later, the whole world saw them? Let's find out that on the orders of Caliph of Muslims, Abu Bakr Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, Khalid bin Walid attacked the great Persian Empire and very easily crushed the Persian army of 4,000 with only 18,000 Muslims. After this victory, for the first time, Muslims started moving out of Arabia and towards becoming a global power because now Muslims had conquered Kuwait, a very important province of the Persian Empire outside Arabia. As soon as the king of Iran came to know that Muslims had defeated his army very easily, if he is defeated by a new army of 40,000 was sent towards Khalid bin Walid. But as soon as Khalid bin Walid conquered Kuwait, he directly spread his spies in the entire area so that they could know about every danger in advance. These spies spread everywhere and far away. When he went there, he saw that the army of 40,000 of the Persian Empire was moving very fast towards the Muslims. So Khalid bin Walid took his entire army with the same army and started moving towards Ubla outside Kuwait. Ubla is in an area outside Kuwait which is known as today. In the times called Iraq, now on one side stood an army of 177,000 Muslims, and on the other hand, the Persian Empire had an army of 40,000. The Persian general came forward and challenged Khalid bin Walid, but a common soldier from the Muslim army went and eliminated him. Once again, the general of the Persian army was killed before the battle, due to which later, both the armies attacked each other with full flag, and a very tough battle started. But due to the presence of Persian army in large numbers, gradually many Muslims started getting martyred, due to which for the first time Khalid bin Walid forced the Muslims to retreat from the battle. Ordered to withdraw, and it seemed that the Muslims had finally given up the war. Seeing that the Persian army was running away, in joy of victory, they started chasing the Muslims very fast. The Persian army came after the Muslims so fast that the two lights of their army became far away from each other. And if you look close, the Muslims were absolutely straight. They are not coming back in line but are moving away from each other. Ultimately, while chasing the Muslims, the Persian army became so far away from each other that their army got divided not into one, but into many small groups, and there was a gap between their army. Big gaps were created, and Khalid bin Walid was waiting for this moment, and now suddenly Khalid bin Walid with his horsemen advanced from these two gaps and surrounded the center of the Persian army and slowly started crushing them, and then in the same way crushed the rest of the army too. The rear line of the Persian army saw that they, having lost this battle, they left the battle and started running away, but as we know, their armor was always very heavy, so before they could go too far, the Muslims reached them and destroyed them too, and in this way, another major defeat of the Persian Empire. Khalid bin Walid crushed the army. This war took place outside Kuwait, inside Iraq. Now after conquering Kuwait, the Muslims had entered Iraq, the other big province of Iran. Now it was a bit difficult to move forward from here because Iraq and Medina were far away from each other, and the army of Muslims in Iraq had to move from their headquarters to Medina. It was becoming very difficult to communicate. That is why, before moving forward from here, Khalid bin Walid made this area his new headquarters because both Persians and Arabs were in this area, and they all thought that Muslims would come to conquer them. After this, they will be treated the same as the rest of the world. Umpires mean loot, plunder, and rape. But Khalid bin Walid, on the orders of Abu Bakr Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, returned all the properties of this area to those people and did not forcibly snatch anything from anyone, and very quickly this area became very prosperous. All the courts were made courts, and the judges in these courts were made by great Sahabas, due to which justice started being established very fast for the first time in this area. After this, Khalid bin Walid came towards their markets and business and told everyone that business should be done in the same way. Continue the way it was before, but after today, there will be no interest here. War is fought not only with swords, but also with the economy. That is why Khalid bin Walid again imposed jizya tax on the non-Muslims of this area to strengthen the economy of his army. This was not a new tax, but before this, people from this same area were also taxed. The empire also used to take tax, but the jizya tax imposed by Khalid bin Walid was much less than the tax that Iran used to take earlier. Seeing all this, the local population there thought that these Muslims are much better than the Persian Empire. That is why they are very good. Increasingly, the people of this area started coming towards Islam and Khalid bin Walid. They started joining the army, due to which the army of Muslims started increasing again, and due to jizya and zakat tax, money also started coming to the army of Muslims, which means nowadays people think that Khalid bin Walid can only fight wars, although Khalid bin Walid can always fight. Along with war, they also improved the justice and economy of these areas. Now Muslims had conquered Kuwait as well as the south of Iraq, which was the second big blow to the Persian Empire when the Persian king was once defeated. Then when he got the news that his other army had been badly defeated by the Muslims, he again. 2 new armies were sent from the north and east of the empire towards the Muslims and ordered them to destroy the Muslims together at this place in Vala. But the Persian emperor is gathering troops from all sides except his western borders, because this border is used to clash with the Roman Empire, and the emperor of Iran was also worried that the Roman Empire might take advantage of all this and attack the Persian Empire. But the Roman Empire never attacked because after some time the Muslims attacked the Roman Empire. Also attacked, which we will explain in this story, so subscribe Khalid bin. In the areas where Walid lived, many people had accepted Islam, and now all the people had become spies and spies for the Muslims, due to which the intelligence agency of the Muslims started becoming even stronger because these new Muslims were giving billions of rupees to Iran. Due to which the news reached Khalid bin Walid very fast that 2 very big armies were moving rapidly towards him, and Khalid bin Walid knew that if these 2 armies were at one place, if they unite, then it will be impossible to defeat them, so Muslims have to stop all this. Started planning, Muslims saw that the area from which these 2 armies are coming is a very green and hilly area, and these people are not at all accustomed to the desert. That is why if the Muslims go from the desert, they will join one of these armies. Khalid bin Walid crossed the desert of Iraq at full speed with his army and reached Lajah near the first army. The first army of Muslims and Persians came face to face in Lajah. The general of the Persian army was surprised to see this, that the Muslim army was much less than what he had been told, meaning there were more Muslims. There are foot soldiers and very few horsemen, due to which there was a lot of hope of victory in this army. From the Persian army, their champion emerged, who was given a very famous name in Persian by the Persians because of his very big and strong body. Hajar Mard, which means 1,000 men in Urdu and Hindi. Khalid bin Walid went to fight that champion and killed him within some time, after which both the armies got ready for the war, but even after a lot of time passed, the Iranian army remained at its place. Stood there because he wanted to waste as much time as possible. They were there so that their other army could reach to help them, but the plan of the Muslims was to destroy them before they could unite. Hence, despite the fact that the army of the Muslims was very less, Khalid bin Walid ordered them to attack. Muslims and Persians, once again a very tough battle started, and even after a lot of time had passed, it was not clear who was winning the battle, but suddenly the Persian general changed the lines of his army and brought new fresh people in front. Muslims had absolutely no strength to fight, due to which again many Muslims started getting martyred gradually, and after seeing all this, Khalid bin Walid ordered the Muslims to retreat, due to which the Muslims started retreating slowly from the war again. But finally they retreated so much that this army went right up to the mountain. It reached a point from where it was impossible to go back further, and finally the entire army of Iran attacked the Muslims. But if you look carefully, then the Muslims are not retreating again in a straight line, but only the center of the Muslims is retreating, and the Muslims are retreating. That left and right are standing firmly in place, due to which gradually a round circle is being formed in this battle, which till now the Persians had no idea. As soon as the circle started getting completed and the entire Persian army entered inside this circle, Khalid bin Walid gave a signal, and suddenly the Persian army started moving. From behind, 4,000 horse riders started coming after the Persian army at full speed. Remember, the Iranian general's spies had much fewer Muslims than they had told him, on which he was very happy. But in reality, Muslims were never less, Khalid bin Walid said. Before the war, all of them were made to stand behind the Persian army. This was done, and for a long time all of them were waiting for just one signal from Khalid bin Walid. After this, the Muslims surrounded the Persian army from all sides in such a way that it is said that not even a single person can run away from this war. This is not the first time that Khalid bin Walid has used this tactic. Earlier, he had also defeated the Muslims in the same manner in the Battle of Yanga, in which Rasulullah ﷺ gave clear orders to the Sahaba not to descend from this mountain, but in the joy of victory. When he came down from the mountain, Khalid bin Walid attacked from behind the mountain and destroyed the entire battle. They completely changed it, and now they use the same tactic against the Persians. After defeating this army of Iran, now the Muslims started coming out of the border of the Persian Empire and getting closer to their center, and after some time, Abu Bakr Razi Allah Ta'ala Anhu took control of Iran. At the same time, he also ordered an attack on the Roman Empire. The Muslims were progressing so fast in the Roman and Persian empires that these two empires saw that if things continued like this, then very soon both of us superpowers would be destroyed. Hence, they decided to attack the Roman Empire. For the first time, the Roman and Persian empires end their 700-year-old enmity,